Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I got a very special guest. Right now, one is in London, one is in Italy. But today I got Gabriele and Oleg with Coinrule. How are y'all doing today?
Great.
Hi, hello everyone.
Of course. Well, excited to have y'all. As I was saying before the show started, y'all are my first joint guests that I've had on my show. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. And of course, for everyone listening, we're also recording this via video. So if you want to go check us out on YouTube, please do so. But before we get started, give us a little bit of background on both of each other. So go ahead, Oleg, go ahead and kick us off with that.
Sure. So my background is I grew up in Germany, studied in the UK, went to Oxford, did an MPhil degree here, worked in banking for a few years, got a bit tired of the whole, traditional finance industry, started my first startup. We joined an accelerator program. That's where I met Gabriele. And I was already really getting into the whole crypto and blockchain space around that time. That's about 3.5 years ago now. And then a while later, we started Coinrule together.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for me, I started my working career in Finland. In Helsinki, I was working at Nokia. Then I went over to Boston at the MIT, working in a research lab. And then after that, I've been for more than 10 years in London, working always for several innovation labs of banks. So HSBC, Lloyds Bank Group, UBS. And then in the meanwhile, the last 5-6 years, I've been trying to start my own venture, and this is the third one, and it's going very well. And actually, I got into cryptocurrency space in 2012 when I bought my first Bitcoin, and I sold it after a few months, and I made a 4% return. So I was very happy about that, but apparently it was not the right choice.
Yeah, so let's stay on that real quick. The first introduction to crypto. So you personally said it was 2012. What about it? Like, how did you first hear about it in the first place? And then after you learned about it, at which point were you like, okay, there's something to this. I want to stay in this industry.
It was very casual, I would say. I was at that time I was hanging out with a lot of researchers from MIT or Boston University or computer scientists. Someone mentioned Bitcoin, so I did some research. I found Coinbase, and that's the only coin they had at that time. And I bought $400 just to play around. And then 2016, I went just back to check my account. I was already working in FINTECH, what was called, FINTECH, Finance and Technology, and with innovation labs. But then on Coinbase, I saw this new coin, Ethereum, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I bought a little bit, and then eventually it was growing a lot, and then more. And then I started meeting a few friends that also were interested in that. And then I really joined all the industry, or reading news every day, every 2-3 hours. I got really addicted in that period. And I understood that the decentralized finance, cryptocurrency, blockchain, DLTs are the future, the new frontier of the fintech. So I would say for me, fintech is already the old finance.
Yeah, definitely. What about for you, Oleg?
So for me, it started with me just being really interested in kind of monetary policy, economic regimes around the world, political economy. So I was working in banking, I was working with governments, I was seeing a lot of interesting things. I must have become aware of Bitcoin around also 2012, 13, but I was like so busy in finance, I just didn't really have the time to engage with it. And when I left my banking job, I actually started really to go much more actively to fintech and just tech events, started to talk to people. And at some point it just clicked, blew my mind. And I couldn't really stop, engaging with it anymore.
Right. No, that's amazing. And so, you're starting to learn about this and you can't really ignore it anymore. And so y'all come together and you create Coinrule. So tell us about, what year was this? How did you put all this together? And, tell us a little bit about this smart assistant that's designed exclusively for cryptocurrency traders.
So the way we met was very interesting. We were part of this accelerator called the Mass Challenge that usually it's held in Boston, but this time they also had an edition in London. So there was me, Oleg, another 20 entrepreneurs, and also Zenek, our CTO, and we all had different companies. And I had a day job. In the evening, I used to go back to my co-working space with my employees. So, and I was super stressed. But on the other side of the big table, there was this guy that was always asking me, "Oh, let's catch up. Let's have a chat. Let's have a coffee." And then eventually at some point I was like, yeah, okay, let's have a chat. And then when we talked, we just had such a good brainstorming about crypto. I was already playing around in my mind with some kind of portfolio type of app that was based more on goals, on some objectives. So you can save and trade cryptocurrency because you wanted to, for example, buy a house. So I already had some sketches, and then we also, defined this problem about automation, and that's, we basically stopped our current ventures and we started Coinrule. And then after, also Zenek, our CTO, joined after a few months. So basically, from 3 companies, we just focused on Coinrule.
Wow. So a giant mesh, everything come together at the right time to focus on that. And Oleg, can you kind of just elaborate on, why did you kind of either blend the 3 or stop the 3 to focus primarily on this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, first of all, because it's a huge opportunity. I mean, it's just something that makes sense. Like, there is this millennial generation, people are starting to invest, people are massively into crypto. It's like the new big thing. It's more transparent than traditional finance. It's more kind of accessible to normal people. They start trading and suddenly they realize, hey, even this new market is really controlled by, professionals and whales and bots and all this. So these people, they discover that they need something that would help them to compete in that market. And Coinrule is that tool that helps them to compete. And it's just something that so obviously makes sense. I mean, if you look at some of the traditional trading platforms, if you look at the Bloomberg terminal, it looks, compared to some of the tech and user experience stuff we have today, it looks like something from the 80s.
Yeah.
So we had this new generation of software, of platforms that just helps a new generation of people to actually engage with the market.
So speaks to that a little bit. So if I'm a brand new investor, so for one of my newbies that are listening to the podcast, or for one of my OGs that's been in it for a while, like, who is Coinrule for, and how would you come up and use this particular platform?
So yeah, Coinrule is for hobbyist investors. So it's for someone that bought like some coins on Binance, on Coinbase, and then they start understanding that manual trading takes so much time. And obviously people have like proper day jobs. So, day trading is not their own activities. So at that point, those users start looking for an automation tool, especially because more than 95% of the market, of the traders are not really coders. So they cannot program. Even if they are programmers, they don't want to really bother to, writing a script, run it on a secure server, and take care of all the life cycle of the development. So they just want an off-the-shelf solution. So for these people, they can just use Coinrule. So where you can say, if Bitcoin goes down 2%, according to these conditions, volume, market cap, price, and RSI, etc., buy these other coins like Ripple. So you can create a very simple automation or very complex as much as you want, and you can test your correlation. So I always meet, when I go to meetups and events, I always meet people that have some sort of assumptions about correlation between coins or the best time to buy a specific asset. So with Coinrule, you can actually set up an account for free and you can test those assumptions. And now we are also launching the backtesting functionality so that you can actually test those rules on historical market data, so you can have an informed guess how that rule would have performed in the past. So all this kind of off-the-shelf kind of package product for automation is something that's not been done before. So it's a very novel proposition.
Yeah, that is unique. And I've been part of a crypto fund, and one of the things that we did early was trying to automate a lot of those things and trying to test assumptions. And just like you said, back test it against historical data. So I definitely see why that's powerful. So is this particular, is Coinrule more focused on a more affluent investor or more educated investor who can use some of these more complex figures? Or let's say if you're brand new and you just want to learn how to try to do some of these things, is there an opportunity for them as well?
Mm-hmm. So there's definitely an opportunity for beginners. I mean, in a way, that's kind of really what we focus on almost. We provide a lot of educational material. Coinrule is actually fun to use. People are helpful. We have a super helpful community on Telegram. Our head of trading is always hands-on involved to guide people and help them to actually understand what's going on in the market. Now, let's say you're a complete beginner, probably you will not be trading, with like technical indicators, but you might still use Coinrule to build simple rules that will protect your portfolio or that will catch an opportunity if the market is going up fast. So yeah, definitely for someone who has just bought his first crypto on Coinbase or Binance, they can already get started on Coinrule.
That's great. And, on that, I mean, I know that y'all are having some pretty good success. If I'm not mistaken, y'all just did a successful fundraising. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. We actually have 11 seaters as we speak. So crowdfunding campaign going on. In the first 2 days, already in private sale, we reached 100%. So then we went public and we are overfunding up to £500,000. So there's still space for the next 4 to 5 weeks to invest. There's been very good, actually, receive very good investors from, the former head of what was Oleg, head of marketing of Stripe or head of revenue.
Yeah, head of revenue.
Joining the round, the crowdfunding round. We had some good names really that are expert in finance. So actually, we will leverage some of them to become advisors probably. So it's going very well. This is our second fundraise. We did the first one last year. The lead investor was a bank, an Hungarian bank, MKB. They actually were the first one believing in the project. They welcomed us in the accelerator program in Budapest, and at the end we won a prize as the best startup. They invested. We got 2 more angels, and that was the previous round. And now this is kind of the seed round that we are finalizing basically end of November.
Good deal. Well, I know that's exciting for y'all, and also just goes to show what a good product you must have. So everyone listening, definitely, take some time, go check them out, see how you can utilize Coinrule, because, it seems extremely impressive. But to kind of shift gears a bit, I know that y'all have both been in this space for a really long time, and there's a lot going on in the industry, in the space right now. What are some things in the space that currently have your attention?
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me specifically, decentralized finance over the last few months, the whole story behind it, it's amazing. It's something we've been following for, let's say a year and a half. Fantastic project, synthetics, lots of cool stuff. But it just kind of felt that there wasn't yet this, people were building. And this summer, with the whole liquidity mining, etc., the hype started. And you know how powerful crypto can get when there's really this hype behind it. And just it was almost like a computer game, the craziness that was going on. But in that, we forget how big this is. This has literally the potential to do, to banks, to financial intermediaries, what the internet did to, the post office and the telecoms firms. Literally just wipe them out, replace them with something much better. So as much as I enjoy playing this computer game of DeFi and crypto, what's actually behind it, it's mind-blowingly exciting. And although this has now calmed down, obviously on the long term, the fundamentals are extremely strong. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, on that, just like you said, it's extremely exciting, and it's a true disruptor. When you look at the financial institutions that have been put in place, we've kind of been doing the same thing for almost thousands of years. Just the institution of currency of what you're using to do it has changed. But when you think about why this is disrupting in such a way, we're moving to digital. The world is becoming digitalized and decentralized in a lot of ways as well. So, I think DeFi is a really great way and first step into starting to make that happen a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
How about yourself, Gabriel?
Yeah, so I think we had always this idea that the Nasdaq, when it was created as a kind of the market for digital companies, kind of inherited all the mechanisms from the old Wall Street world, and then it didn't seem right. In fact, now tokenization is a big topic in this space. I think that at some point they just Nasdaq will be using. They already start doing some proof of concept. They will be using blockchain. They will be using several tokens, ERC20, to actually create what's now it's called STOs. So basically the offering of proper shares of the company in a token format. So it's something that has to happen because doing paper very a lot of paperwork for signing to buy some shares is something from another sender, right? And then Nasdaq is to change. So I think it's a natural process that decentralized finance will become the new rails and the new infrastructure for the traditional finance. It's just the questions like how long it will take. Usually with all the technology we have seen in the last years, or all the buzzwords like big data, UX, or you name it, they usually have the first hype, and there's kind of the early adopters, but then you end up not hearing about them anymore because they get absorbed into the methodology and the techniques of several disciplines. If you're a backend developer, from a developer, or if you're a designer, you just absorb those techniques and they become standard state of art for the industry. So I think that's what will happen also with decentralized finance, tokenization, and blockchain.
Thank you for that. And, it is going to be interesting to see how regulation starts to be put around this. And as we start to get more context around what are the rules of engagement, I think you start to see a lot more people beginning to enter the space and be more active in it as well. But another question I want to pose to you both is, I think we are heading to another potential global recession. A lot of the writings are on the wall. And when you look at Bitcoin in the first place, back in 2008, when the last recession happened, Bitcoin was made in response. So of course, as this one's headed, the use case of cryptocurrency / Bitcoin, everything that's going on is truly being tested. So as we go in, and of course, we're starting off this next decade with this going on. So in the next decade, what are some things that are on your mind that you think could materialize and that you're interested in watching as this industry continues to grow?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Or $1 billion, really. I would say there's a lot of stuff going on. You touched upon the point. Let's say there's a global recession. What will crypto assets do? We all hope that Bitcoin, let's say, will hold up as a hedge against the macro crisis. But then at the same time, we know actually in March, the crypto markets also went down because still a lot of the capital in crypto sees crypto as a risk asset, which then drops if everything drops.
Right.
I would expect that if markets drop, initially crypto and Bitcoin will still drop, but probably less than many other assets, and then will recover quicker. I think that would be a huge thing to watch, just to see that Bitcoin really establishes itself as like a hedge against macro. The other big trends, obviously there are a million, but two just to highlight right now. One is kind of publicly listed companies entering the crypto space, like the PayPal announcement the other day, Square holding Bitcoin in its treasury, couple of the other funds, Galaxy Holdings, etc. That's huge. Will we see more huge news? Will we see more and more publicly listed companies holding part of their funds in Bitcoin? I absolutely think so, but that's a critical thing to watch out. And the final thing, central bank digital currencies, that's coming. It's going to have a massive impact, but it's hard to predict how. The immediate impact is that if the central bank can literally put a coin directly into your bank account, that changes the way how monetary policy is done. But it also has a huge impact on, hey, suddenly we need these blockchain rails to be running across the banks and the people's bank accounts. So people suddenly get exposure to basically crypto assets straight out coming from the central bank. So I think the threshold for people to enter non-central bank crypto assets will drop massively and will just really open the market for everyone.
Yeah, it would be the dream, but I think it will take a few years, right?
Almost. Yeah. I think some of it will happen. The central bank digital currencies, that's what the central banks are trying to do to prevent potentially even the next crisis. So I think that could happen sooner than we think because they need this tool. What else will happen? It's hard to say, right?
The one thing that can facilitate that process is also if cryptocurrency project opens up a little bit towards open APIs and the banking API, PSD2. At the moment, I don't see Polkadot or other good chains, even Algorand or Solana, working towards that. But I think they should kind of step down a little bit from the crypto kind of cryptocurrency revolutionary mood and approach and kind of become a little bit more mainstream and to start working with more mainstream technology so that they can facilitate the process of kind of consolidation of Bitcoin and all the blockchain space.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at mass adoption, what does that look like? It has to get to a point to where anyone can pick up and intuitively use it. Crypto's not there yet. I think we are actively moving towards it and actively trying to build it. However, we got some time before we're there. However, the companies that are sticking around and actually trying to build to last, unfortunately, with over 7,000 currencies available, cryptocurrencies rather, not all of them were meant and had the best intentions of mind to try to build something that would last and work. A lot of it was just how do we make as much money in the shortest amount of time? So of course, a lot of that's going to start weeding out, and the companies that remain and are able to have true use cases and people use them. I think that's where it gets a little bit more powerful, and a lot of this, the value that's being driven from crypto becomes even more valuable. So I appreciate both of your answers. I think they're very thorough. Also appreciate, y'all's time in explaining, Coinrule and all the insights that you've given us. But before we go, I always like to ask our guests, what is a final thought that you want to leave with our listeners? So I will now pose that to both of you.
I think one thing I want to say is we really believe in less inequality on the market in finance. And that's why we started Coinrule, to allow normal people to have powerful tools in their hands as much as investment banks and hedge funds have at the moment. So basically, we help people fight back these big institutions. It's a little bit utopic as well, because that requires a lot of teaching time and bringing people on a learning process. But we think that the big opportunities is between when you have a user that's pretty beginners and intermediate, and they know something about trading, but they don't know much. So that's where the big opportunity is. And we can really make a difference by educating also all the rest of the world, other than Japan. For example, in Japan, if you go to Japan, they have a very good wealth management culture. Personal finance is something that if you are dad, your family you are supposed to do. It's kind of it's culturally accepted. I don't see that happening in Europe, in South America, South Africa, and US. So I think the rest of the world could benefit from kind of learning a little bit more how to manage their personal finances, and that's why we started Coinrule to give them the tool to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point, which definitely I completely agree with. Maybe one element that I'm thinking about is how international this whole market is. I'm loving to see how many users we have from places like Indonesia, Nigeria, Brazil, places where people just didn't have that same amount of access to investment opportunities. I mean, it's easy for us in London or in the US to buy, let's say, Tesla stock or whatever financial assets we want. We underestimate how difficult it is for 80% of the world population. And suddenly you have crypto, suddenly you can really access so many of these financial opportunities so easily. But to really do that in the right way, not to get scammed, not to face market risks without help, you need tools. And that's really why we are so passionate in building Coinrule, because we genuinely think it can make a difference for so many people.
And that's amazing. And something I want to reemphasize here is that you're creating access. And just like you said, what's a great point is that most of the world doesn't have access to financial tools that can help them create wealth and generate wealth, or even start conversations to understand what that even looks like. And I call crypto the great equalizer of the world, because now, as long as you have a way to get it, trade it, and learn more about it, you can actively jump into it without having a whole lot of money to start in the first place. And that money that you're generating might be more stable than your local currency. So it's an amazing time. I really enjoy and appreciate what y'all are doing with the Coinrule and the access that you're trying to provide. But thank you again for your time. What are ways that people can connect with you and learn more about what you have going on?
In the first place will be the Seeders campaign. So it's seeders.com/Coinrule. You can go there and talking about access to finance, you can invest as low as £10. So it's very, very accessible, and you can get our pitch deck, and you can learn more about our story, or you can send us an email, gab@coinrule.io or oleg@coinrule.io. So we have, or connect us on LinkedIn. We are very open to all these social media.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you both for being on the show, and for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent. Today's podcast is brought to you by Coinrule, automated trading made easy. Coinrule empowers traders to compete with professional algorithmic traders and hedge funds. No coding required. Coinrule helps you set automated trades and never miss a rally or get caught in a dip. Coinrule obsessively seeks out effective market indicators to enable smart allocation of funds while putting you in control of your trading machine. For more information, go to coinrule.io. And now for today's episode. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information on today's episode and all of our episodes, please visit us at www.crypto-current.co. You can also find a link in the show notes. Want to stay up to date in the latest news in cryptocurrency? Sign up for our newsletter today. You'll receive daily emails Monday through Friday that are personalized and curated content specific to you and your interest, powered by artificial intelligence. You can either go to our show notes or go to our website to sign up today. Are you an accredited investor looking to invest in cryptocurrency? Crescent City Capital can help. Go to crescentcitycapital.com for more information. I don't know if you've noticed, but the quality of our podcast each week are improving. I can only thank my amazing producer, Andrew DeRitter with DeRitter Productions, who has been putting all of this together. If you have any podcast, music, or audio needs, please go to DeRitterProductions.com. That's DERITTER Productions.com.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Cryptocurrent with Richard Carthon. We'll be back with more exciting developments from the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency next week. But until then, stay cryptocurrent.